Well, very quickly. So I was asked to keep this to 5 minutes. So the good news is that that will save you a very long rendition of my childhood. But very quickly, so I'm Antoine Vernet. I'm an associate professor of management in the Bartlett School of Sustainable Construction at UCL. I teach mostly quantitative topics. So I teach data analytics for project managers. I teach social network analysis. And then I teach a more management topic, which is organizational design. And then in all of those three modules that are the main module I lead, I use Thales Elevate as a way of fostering engagement from the student prior to the session. So on Thales Elevate, I put both documents such as readings, etc., but also videos that cover quite a lot of the lecturing I used to do in class. And the student can access that material usually a week in advance. And what that allows me to do is essentially do a bit less of lecturing in the classroom, be able, based on the comments I get in the week running up to the session, get a sense of what the students have been struggling with, what seems to be easily understood, what seems to be less easily understood, and then rearrange my session a little bit so I focus a bit more on the things that were difficult. And it also frees up time for things like exercises that allow me to get the student into a situation where they're using the material. And I think, well, that's first, it's interesting for the student and it's more engaging than sitting there listening to me. But the other advantage is that the students get a clear sense of what they've assimilated, what they haven't assimilated, because they've tried to use the material, use the concept, or use the tools. And some things were easy and some things were not. And then that means they can go back to the material that's on Thales Elevate and review that material in a way that's much more efficient because they know where to go. They know what they're struggling with, and therefore they can focus on that in order to progress. So the last thing I'd like to say is, and I'll finish my presentation on this, is what are the things I'd like to see in Thales Elevate that are not in there already. The first thing is more of a housekeeping kind of thing, is I think the reporting facilities on the side of the teachers are a bit beyond what would be ideal. So I want to be able to export the comments, have an easy way to link comments to students, get a report for each student, but also a report for the whole classroom. That would be very, very useful for things like allowing to mark some of the participation in Thales as part of the final assessment. And a couple of other things that would be useful have also to do with reporting, but that less from the housekeeping kind of side of me as a teacher wanting those information for administrative purposes, and more as an additional help to the students. So for example, getting report on what are the parts of the videos or of the text where the students have lingered longer. So what's the most replayed part of a video, for example, would be useful. An ability, for example, for the students to use a small number of predetermined tags to highlight either areas of a video or areas of a text or a picture to say, well, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That would be very useful for me as a teacher if I could then get a report that says, look, here are the things that are tagged by the most number of students as being difficult. And that's something that I would find very useful as well, is the ability to integrate quizzes within the videos, within the text, with automatic grading and automated feedback. So that's something that's possible. In my university, we use Moodle as well. So that's something that's possible within Moodle, but that involves for the students to be on TALIS Elevate, then go back to Moodle, then come back to TALIS Elevate. It also requires me to do something similar on top of that. I mean, if any of you have used Moodle in the past, creating quizzes on Moodle takes about as long as it takes Parliament to pass a law. So it's not the smoothest experience if you have to be in between the two platforms. So for me, as a quality of life improvement for me and the students, having it integrated within TALIS would be amazing. And the last thing, and then I'll shut up because I'm already over the 5 minutes, is I was thinking, and that's because I'm like everyone else at the moment. I'm like, so AI is kind of interesting. People are talking about how you would integrate it. And I'm wondering, well, is there a way of integrating it within TALIS Elevate that's useful and not just a gimmick saying, well, look, we also have AI. And I was wondering if somehow, as a tool that would give initial feedback on comments the students make, for example, that might be an interesting thing to have, where the students write something and potentially they get immediate feedback with a clarification. And then, of course, you'd have the module leader or another teacher on the module reviewing those responses and potentially clarifying or highlighting when the model has completely hallucinated and said something that was crazy, which happens quite often. So that's it from me, and sorry for being slightly over time.